But in this problem, because it's kind of a mirror image, like it's flipped backwards, they want to know what are the congruent parts. Okay? And they keep using the word corresponding. So whenever I put down congruent parts, just know that I'm referring to corresponding. And so, in other words, I've got all these images here. I've got angles and I've got line segments, and they want to know what matches up with what. So, let's start with the sides. So I'm going to pick a side. Let's do HI. So the line segment HI is congruent to what?
Line segment LM.
LM. So now let me show you something. This is kind of a way, it's kind of cheating, but HI, first two letters of my name of my polygon. What are the first two letters of the name of the other polygon? LM. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have H should correspond with L. I should correspond with M. J should correspond with N, and then K should correspond with O, always. So they're telling us that they match, that they're congruent. That's given to us. And so now we're just going to do the side lengths and the angles, and we're going to label what's congruent. So now for my next one, that's one side. If I say IJ, right, what is that congruent to? MN. So see, I could look at the figure, right, because I have I to J, or I to J, but it's not so clear by looking at the figure what corresponds to what, right? Because I to J kind of looks like O to L too. But that's why we always go back to this. Let's do a couple more. We have J, K is congruent to what? MO, or NO, I mean. NO, no. All right? And then there's one more, but we won't list it. If I say KH, what does KH correspond to? Well, maybe we should list it. KH is congruent to what? OL. Do you guys see how I got that? If you just look at the label of the two polygons, when we say HIJK is congruent to LMNO, we just need to match up the corresponding parts. Just from the statement alone. I could have done this problem without the figures, without the drawings of the polygon. Yes?
So is it always like that?
Always. And that's how we have to label it too. At some point they're going to give us a picture, and we need to label that the polygon is congruent to another polygon, and we need to make sure that we match up the letters with regards to the corresponding parts. So now, if I were to say let's figure out the angles. Well, I've got angle H, that's congruent to something. I've got angle I, that's congruent to something. I've got angle J, and that's congruent to something. And then I have angle K, and that's congruent to something. So H corresponds to angle L, I corresponds to angle M, J corresponds to angle N, and K corresponds to angle O. So now, I think what the author of the textbook was doing is they purposefully mirrored or flipped that polygon to kind of confuse us, to force us to think about how we label the corresponding parts.